Hello and welcome to Tularis University. In this video, we'll show you how to use and configure employee surveys. Now, employee surveys can be very useful in case you have guests attending an event at your facility and you want to ask them some questions, or if you want to keep track of the quality of products in your warehouse, or give any kind of feedback for people coming into your facility. Now, we assume in this video that you have XPressEntry installed, which you see in the middle of my screen here, that you have your handheld installed and connected, which you see on the far right of my screen. Now, to enable employee surveys, the first thing to do is to go into Tools, Settings. Now, we need to go into the handheld functionality under the reader profiles. We need to select Enable Questionnaire on Entry and Enable Questionnaire on Exits. You can either use one or the other. You can ask for a question when the employee is coming in or when they're going out, or both. It really depends on what you want to do. But I'll enable both so you can see how it works. Now, the second thing to do is to create the questions that you're going to ask the employees when they come into your site. So now we need to go into the question setup. This is under General. You see question setup. Now I have some questions that are pre-set up, and you can set up as many questions as you want. You would enable the ones that you want. You can just keep them there as a template and enable them as you need them. You can set up questions in any language. I can see in this case, I set up a question in Spanish, which just really says that asking the question, have you been hospitalized in the past 3 months? Or you can ask for your temperature, or you can ask basic questions. Now you can ask a question that requires a validation. Now in this case, the validation means that if the employee coming into your site doesn't pass the validation, that employee will not be granted access. They will be given a denied access based on the fact that they failed that validation. So in this case, I've set my temperature validation to reject anyone that is greater than 32 degrees. So it says validation less than or equal to 32. Only people that are less than or equal to 32 degrees centigrade or Fahrenheit, whichever case, would be allowed into this site. Now let's add a new question and see how there's other ways you can do this. So I can ask a question and say this is for age, and ask a question saying, what is your age? Let's assume a situation where you have a carousel ride in a fun fair and you don't want children below, let's say 10 years to go onto that particular ride. So let's say a validation, and we say this is greater than or equals to. Okay, so you have to be greater than or equals to 10 years old. Okay, so anyone below 10 years old will be rejected by this validation. So let's hit save. Now, the next thing to do is to go into the reader questionnaires, and that is under the reader profiles at this section. You can now enable the questions that you want. So in this case, I'm going to enable the temperature question, and I'll enable the age question. You know what, let's just enable everything and see how it works. Hit save. Now, if you go to the handheld and look at the handheld, you see what happens when I present a badge. And once you present a badge, you see the questions will be asked to the employee once they come into the site. It's asking if you traveled abroad in the last 2 weeks, and I say no. And it's asking for the temperature. In this case, I'll give it a valid temperature, which is 28. And the next question is asking me in Spanish. I say no, I've not been hospitalized. And also asking me my age. In this case, I will give it an age that is less than 10. So let's see what happens when I validate. So we need to select the tick here that submits the questions. And you can see that it rejects me because it says age is out of range. Okay, so let's try again by giving the right age and see what happens. Just say no. Here, I'll just give it a good temperature and say no here. And under the age, I'm going to give it 12. So you see, daily questions complete, and it will not be rejected. Let's see what happens if I give it a bad temperature. And this is yes. And let's just give it a temperature that is above the range, which is 32. See, I'll give it 33 and give it a good age and see what happens. And you see, in this case, it accepted the age but rejected the temperature. So this is a way to ask questions and also do some validations. You can use it for health checks. You can use it for just getting data from visitors that come into your site, or you can use it at fun fairs or places or events where you want to restrict age or any other thing that you want to apply. There's a range of things you can do with these features. It really is your choice. Now, this is a demonstration of the feature for questionnaire. The final thing you can do is to view all the submissions and responses. So to do that, you need to go into General. Let's go back to this side, and you need to enable the questionnaire tab. Hit Save. Let's expand this so we can see how it looks. Now you can see all the questions and the responses that we're giving, and you can really export this to CSV. You can refresh. You can pull out data from a long time ago. You can pull out data from today. You can just pretty much do anything you want with the report and send this out to your management or keep it as a part of your records. Now, one final thing that I want to show you is imagine a situation where you only want these questions asked only once a day. So as it is set now, you would be asked the question every time you come into the site. You see, every time this user comes, you just cancel this. And you'll be asked every single time, which you can see on the right-hand side of my screen. Now, if you want this user to only be asked once a day, you can enable this feature under the reader questionnaires and say prompt for questionnaire only once a day. So in this case, if you look on the right-hand side, once the user is asked for the question the first time, as you see, he will not be asked for the question again. You can also have questionnaires enabled on entry but not on exit, or an exit but not on entry. In this case, we have it enabled for both entry and exit. And if I uncheck this, you'll see that even on exit, he's asked for this question. But if I disable this feature on the handheld functionality, say on exit only, on the exit, he will not be asked that question. The final thing you can do is on the reader questionnaires, you can ask it to be prompted only a couple of hours. So if you want it to be prompted every 2 hours, you can say don't display since the last 2 hours. So after 2 hours, they will be asked the question again. So this is very flexible for you. You can decide how you want to apply these features. This brings an end to the demonstration of this feature. Feel free to reach out to us at helpdesk@Telarus.com for any technical queries, or sales@Telarus.com for any product inquiries. Thank you.